For this video, I wanted to showcase a list that is a little more competitive than the stuff I've been posting lately. This is the sort of list that I would consider using if I was trying to climb seriously, and you might have already been running into this at length, or at least a version of this, not necessarily my version, but just a version on the ladder because it's pretty popular. And this is a red-blue aggressive Rainbow's End list. So it runs a decent number of enchantments, just enough of like a critical mass so that you're hopefully getting that additional card draw from it. You know, enough to warrant running it over the other lists. But the big deal here is that you also potentially get the coin, which is amazing if you're on an aggressive start because you can tempo out plays. Being able to start with something like a turn 1 daring trapezists, for example, can be huge. And so this is the list. It's pretty straightforward. A lot of the red aggro stuff is going to look familiar. It's most of the rush stuff. Because you're red-blue, you get to run Fire Eater, who is kind of outstanding in this list for a number of reasons. Not only does the 1 damage allow you to a lot of times free up some of your minions to attack by getting rid of chump blockers that people put down, but also because his ability is technically a utility ability. So you throw him on like a giant stairway, even just a demolition speedway, and suddenly he's able to attack and still ping things. That's a really useful strategy. And so anyway, this is my particular list. Again, there's a bunch of them floating around. I do, whenever I do these videos, put the decks in the video description, and you actually can import them if you don't know how. I've got a video on my channel that kind of shows you how to do that, but we're going to jump on the ladder here, see if we can get some wins. I always play 2 games, win or lose. I think it's important to see losses from time to time so you can kind of understand how you beat decks, or if you're going to run a deck, what its potential weaknesses could be, etc., etc. So we're always hoping for wins. I would prefer to win far more games than I lose, but it's not always the case. It seems like it's a little bit longer queue than normal. Seems like plenty of action though recently, so we should be running into something here soon. Alright, so looks like it's probably a mirror match, but they kind of won the coin toss, if you will. Yuck, 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 yuck. I don't think I actually want 2 fires though. So we'll do this. Yeah, so they ended up with the leprechaun's coin. Now it's possible it's not a true mirror. I have seen some other rainbow decks popping up. Some yellow variants, some green variants like red-green with Rustlin's Bite, for example. Alright, so this is where Fire Eater comes into play a wee bit. And sequencing is important. If we were to attack and then ping, this would not be a trade. But if we do it in this order, then it does trade. And that's because the Thane there will heal whenever an enemy minion dies. So if we trade it in, then my 2-1 dies, and then it goes right back to being a 2-3. So alright, so we have our own interesting dilemma here. We could use a trapezist. Yeah, that's probably correct. Now, again, this is likely just going to end up dying here. But that allows us to at least get this damage in. And now you're seeing... So when you go first with the rainbow deck, you can run out of cards very, very quickly. And you're kind of seeing that here. It's really important to go second, I think, in the mirrors. Oh, this is rough. I think we actually have to ditch this speedway. So we have to get rid of this, but I don't want to get rid of the thing that lets me draw cards. But this is just going to eat like our entire squad, so... As much as I don't want to get rid of that speedway, we'll do it. Also, if you do have to shuffle stuff back in, enchantments kind of don't hurt, because if there's an enchantment as the top card, then you draw it. Like, that's part of the other portion of the path, but we've been unlucky in that regard. We did not win the coin toss on the old first or second bit, so we're a little behind the 8 ball here. Alright, so they're going to go with a speedway to get it down. And a trapezists. We're going to go ahead. We might get punished by like a magmatar for this positioning, but we're going to go ahead and do that. Burning thunderclap does not get us to where we can play brainstorm, so we're just going to hold it here. Thunderclap also might be how we catch back up in this, if we start to fall behind.
Yes, yes.
Hey, speaking of thunderclap, that seemed really good for them. Alright, we're going to go ahead and do that. Well, we can't burn the fire eater, and ideally that's actually what we want to burn so that we could play a trapezist. I think we actually have to give up our thunderclap here. I think we have to give it up, and I actually think we have to ping this because we need control of the board. And so if this survives, then we can ping and run into it with a trapezist next turn, but that's a big if. Alright, Bragi's huge for them. So that's so rough. So what we would love to do is to just play giant stairway here, so that these end up trading even. The problem though is if we do that, we're going to take 12 from this, because this can give it frenzy. So we have to ask ourselves, do we want to take 12 from that? I mean, one way or the other, this is our ping, so we can go ahead and do that. Because we don't want to go face with it. And Bragi here will not take damage at all because he's warded. We're also just really hosed as far as like our red gems go. And also if we play the stairway, there's still no guarantee we even trade in with Bragi, because they can just answer back with their own trapezists. This is just all not very good. I think we are in a losing position no matter what we do at the moment. I think that's the best we got. If it survives, we can maybe slap a stairway on it and start gaining some health, but our opponent has more cards in hand than us, and they have a better board than us, which is usually just a straight recipe for disaster. Alright, so that gets the frenzy, and we take 14. No big deal. Oh, and so now we have to get rid of the abaddon, but then we're just dead to whatever rush they have, right? But it's still a requirement. Yeah, that's the best we got. Speedway would have been okay last turn. I think our biggest issue is I just don't ever see us getting rid of that Bragi. It was a really good draw from them. So they got Bragi and Magnus, and they won the coin toss. I don't think that we were ever going to win this mirror match. I think it was just destined to fail. They burned, so they're going up to 4 for a reason. Oh my lord.
Smash.
Yeah, that's a reason, alright. think we just have to give up this panic raider at this point. Like, we need this for the health. This thing hits for 7, basically. So this is our only way to even attempt to stay alive. I hate that when I hit end turn, sometimes it doesn't end the turn. I think it's because the animations are finishing when I do it, but... Alright, well, that's game. Not exactly shocked by that outcome, but... We were, I mean, we were just destined to lose that. Like I said, our opponent found Magnus, they found Bragi, and... they won the coin toss, if you will, which... it's a big deal because they start with the extra card and the coin. So, they have more resources to work with. Like by the fistful, on top of just drawing better cards, so. Let's hope for not a mirror, or if it is a mirror, that we win the coin toss and draw our mythics. I feel like that's not too much to ask for, right? Just everything going our way. Everything at all. Oh man, this one's kind of taken a bit. There we go. There we go. Well, it's another rainbow mirror, but this time we got the coin. And we get to start by going with the old trapeze punishment on the Kalabak. That's why the coin is important. Punishing a Kalabak and leaving a body on the board to kind of take away initiative is such a big deal. Alright, so they're in green-blue. Now the downside is we can't continue to do that. We can just double develop and try to race a little, I suppose. Oh, they're on 3 color, okay. There's a necklace, that seems good. So if you're not familiar, this lets them draw their next enchantment and then they can cycle enchantments through. I think here we'll get rid of one of these. Let's develop this because we're going to use a trapezist trade here, I suppose. They're going to get this either way, but if it protects this, that's a big deal. So, yeah, thunderclap sucks here. That's what I would expect to run into. Oh no, it's just Magnus. Okay, well. Magnus also sucks for us. And in this instance, it's kind of a bummer because we don't want to burn either of our blue cards, and they both take 2 blue. So I think for now, we're just going to go ahead and do this to take the trade. Alright, so they're going to go with Headless one. Now this does damage themselves as well. Now, Magnus actually does not hit this warded minion, and it only hits this for 1 because of the armor. So, as weird as that is, Magnus is not very useful there. So I could pitch Magnus to brainstorm and then hope that I draw something that costs 2. But if I don't find something that costs 2 or less to contest here, we're in a pretty bad spot. But I think that's still probably the correct play. Because again, Magnus is very ineffective against this board. And we just got nothing. Not only did we not find something that cost 2, but we found exactly 0 things that help. I mean, stairway is great, but it's not what we want right now. Like, not by a long shot. Thunderclap, again, does not help us against this board whatsoever. Not even with 2 of them does this help us against this board. Well, we've got to try to slow things down. So we'll do that. And I guess send this back. Thunderclap will at least get rid of the spider. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll get rid of whatever they play plus their reconstruct, because you have to fully expect that that's what they're going to utilize. And of course it's a Gallows Boy, so again, Thunderclap, useless. So we won the coin toss, but we're still being outdrawn here. These are very clunky hands for us. Just over and over. Like normally Thunderclap would be, you know, fine. Great matchup, but right here it kind of does a big fat nothing for us. I think we're still stuck using it. Well, I don't know. Thunderclap stops 4 damage. Bragi here potentially stops 4 damage. But we also get to cycle one of these Thunderclaps, so I suppose in that regard. Suppose in that regard we do this way. It's a very close game. Well, this is at the start of their turn, right? Yeah. So it's actually going to just kill both of these anyway, right? So what we're actually looking to do is just this. Like, I think that's legitimately all we want to do there. I suppose we can do this just to see if we find anything better. Because we don't need both a Magnus and a Thunderclap, so at this point I think we just keep the Magnus. Let this go. Alright, so they play the Necromantic, which will get back a Magnus for them. Oh. Alright, so now it's just a Gallows Boy. So we catch a break there. And they drew an enchantment at the end of their turn. Good to know.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so we'll go with the Magnus. And I guess develop this since it's burned. There's no way we can use it for anything else. I mean, it's a shame. We'd really like to get this ironbelly on the board. Alright, so they burn their stairway to go to 8, which is scary. So you either have a giant body. Oh, okay. I respect that. So we just need to be able to run this over. And so I think speedway and wyvern is probably better. Technically we could match their stairway with our own stairway. But either way we have to answer that. Maybe stairway's the way to go. I'm leery about going stairway there because with this next to it they get easy trades into our big bodies. So something like this that still gets the job done to trade now, I think makes the most sense. Oh, necromantic hurts. That's the headless one back, huh? Necromantic hurts because it's got the high health total. We're also pretty effectively blocked for this getting through for us to draw cards. I mean, unless I just want it to die, we could just run this over, I suppose. And then hope that we draw something to chump block that. That might be the only play that we have. Problem is we don't have the gems. And they're at 8, huh? Well, it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. We have technically a path to victory here. But I don't think that it's going to stick. Because they're still going to block every path that we have. Yeah, that's going to go there. So there's still no official path that we have. This here means we would gain potentially 4 and go to 7. This trades. I mean, I think that's our only... So like this trades here, and this goes here. And, yeah. Nothing we could do. Unfortunate, but 2 straight games where we were kind of just outdrawn, I think. Thunderclaps were useless for us there with so many Gallows Boys, and we just kept finding them, so I guess that's it. Anyway, if you made it this far, thanks for watching, and despite the poor performance in the video, in case you didn't notice, the deck is very good because it's kind of all over the ladder. I essentially lost to different versions of the deck twice in a row in this video, so it's not like the deck was underperforming. I think we just kind of lost coin flips a bit, but it's a good one. If you're looking to climb the ladder, this is a decent one right now.